Hi friends, it's Deanna Willison from Our Blooming Catholic Life. I have for you today on May 13th in 2024 a book review on a book about Marian devotion, sort of. It's about the Magnificat, and it's about a lot more. It's called Splendor of the Magnificat. It's a part of the Splendor of the series by the Magnificat. You know, they make that daily Mass companion. Every now and then, if you're a subscriber of the Magnificat, you're going to get an offer to get a discounted book. If you're not a member, you can still buy it. It's just not on a discount. You can find these books on most of your major book retailers online. It's an odd-sized book, right? It's very tall and skinny. It's like 2 of my hands tall, 1 wide, right? It's a very unique shape. And these books they're history, essay, it's about art, it's about music, it's about culture, it's about Jesus. There's so much in here, they're kind of difficult to describe. I originally picked this up thinking this would be like an adoration companion. It was just going to be artwork that you could take with you to the adoration chapel, or that you could have out in a private home chapel. Or, if you have a little shrine set up in your home or a place where you like to pray, a prayer corner, that you could have this book. And it would just be about prayer. But it is about a lot more. It is a teaching document. You'll notice something odd as soon as you open it. It does come with a music CD. So not only does it have artwork that accompanies the Magnificat, but it has renditions throughout history of the Magnificat itself. All the way from Gregorian chant done in tone 4 with an antiphon, and that is sung by Benedictine monks, and then it has composers all the way from those who were born in 1490 to one born in 1935. That's quite a range, right? Quite a range. And yes, some are quite famous that you'll have heard of, absolutely, like Mozart and Talmon, but there are others in here as well that you may not have heard of. I've not heard of all of them, and I was a music major at one point, so that's just kind of interesting. In the front, it lists the composers in the name of the piece. In the back of the book, you're going to find details on the recording of the music. That's going to be in the back of the book, as well as all the credits for the artwork. There's 3 sides of a page, so 1 page front and back and 1 more on just the art credits as well. It's only 1 side of 1 page on the music. When the art is in the book, it's going to give you the name of the artwork, the artist, and the medium they used, and perhaps the size of the original work. And then what follows could be almost anything. It's going to tell you something unique about the piece, which could be about the method of art. It could be in how they depict the subject. It could be about a time and period of history. And so let's get the awkwardness out of the way. There is this picture in it. And this is a contention for a lot of people. If you see negative reviews, it's normally because of this picture and the one that follows. And this is where I'm saying it's not just an art book on the Magnificat. It is a teaching book to some extent. Why is King Louis the 14th, the Sun King, in this book? This section is talking to us about the name, knowing what it means to know someone's name. So in here, it's page 65. It says, the names of the great rulers of history evoke powerful images of colorful personages. Depending on your origins and beliefs, their names may arouse quite different emotions. A name revealed, regardless of the person's virtue, implies a connection. When we share our name, we invite the other into the experience of knowing us. In a very real way, a name is a sacrament of the person. That's a weird turn of phrase for me, but okay. God revealed his name, the sacrament of his person, through the burning bush. I am who am. Exodus 3:14. In the Decalogue, honoring this name is second only to the worshiping God exclusively. Through his name, God made himself personally available to the world and vulnerable to blasphemies of those who would reject him. God, it seems, would rather be cursed than unknown. When God became incarnate, his vulnerability reached its extreme. He came unto his own, but his own did not accept him. John 1:11. He did not come with a heart of stone, but meek and humble of heart, ready to be wounded. Matthew 11:29. Because Judas was one of the Lord's chosen apostles, his kiss pained Jesus far more than the scourging. See Luke 22:48. So you can see there's already some interpretation going on in the main document. What does it say about this picture of King Louis XIV? It says here, Louis XIV poses in full splendor of his majesty. The king is portrayed at 63 years of age in his coronation attire, his sword within easy grasp, his right hand resting casually on his scepter. Each carefully staged detail, which is very similar to religious paintings. Normally the details are there and are very symbolic, so this is also symbolic. So there's a parallel there, right? It lends calculated force to this nonchalant depiction of the quintessence of absolute power. He was a dictator. Look him up. Like weirdness, right? He had choreographed carelessness, the gargantuan cloak cast effortlessly over his shoulder, the incipient dance step, the upside-down scepter, the crown resting harmlessly on a stool. In this regal composition, Hyacinthe Rigaud has updated the official court portrait by adding a specifically French sort of elegance, halfway between classical severity and Baroque exuberance. Though the figure is solemn, the textile components swirl in eddies of extravagance. This painting was commissioned as a gift for his grandson, the King of Spain, Philip V. It so pleased him, however, he kept it for himself and had a copy made in its stead and dispatched the duplicate to Madrid. There's a difference, right? Jesus coming down to earth made himself vulnerable to us. And this, the king, he's like, no, I like myself. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that to me. He wanted to keep something back, and he sent the duplicate, the copy, the extra away. But God, the Father, sent us the very Son in a humble circumstance, right? So there's a contrast here that isn't fully explored, and so some people find great offense to this picture being in here. So you're going to have to do some of that development yourself. That's why I said it's more of a study and great to do in a group where somebody might catch that. Also, a lot of the critiques say that this is Zeus sitting here. This isn't Zeus. For whatever reason, at the Chateau of Versailles, there are a number of these statues going around, and they're statues that are supposed to be embodiments of the different rivers. I think this one is the Rhone. I don't know why. They had, around the reflecting pond, they had 8 bronze sculptures of rivers and streams. So it's talking about the juxtaposition of the building and the reflecting water and the statues of bronze. And there is more to be there, right? There is more to kind of delve into in the Jesus becoming down to us. And here it's talking about his name next to this painting of the Assumption of the Virgin by Philippe de Champagne. And talking more about Jesus revealing his name to us. So this book isn't just gorgeous artwork, although you could just meditate on this one, right? But here it's telling us about one of the composers of one of the music pieces as well. So it's quite a lot of things going on in the book. It's not just an art book. It's not just beautiful renditions of the Magnificat. It's not just even some of this is the Annunciation, the artwork. Some of it is architecture. Let me see. I can show you some of the architectural ones. So of different churches, inside, outside. There's a lot of church history. There's a lot of world history going on here in completely different styles. You can see the heavy ornamentation here. Even though you can look at can you see all the tiny details? You can look at just one of those small pictures in there. And again, there's a lot of details on this. And then look how humble this picture is compared to it. So there's a great contrast in here and such rich discussions you could really have from this book. And that's where I would invite you in. Lots of quotes. You can even just look at what they're saying in the Bible quote. They talk. Even talks about different types of asceticism, Stoics, and Buddhists. Again, why this would be something really great to discuss in a group, perhaps with a deacon or priest leading you. It also talks about saints, like here is St. Catherine Drexel, quoted on page 101. The whole of Christian life is a holy desire, she once remarked. I looked up in wonder at God's wonderful ways and thought how little we imagine what may be the result of listening and acting on a desire God puts into the heart. Yet nourish before him great desires. And then there's a quote from St. John of the Cross. So there's just so much in this book. It's not a big book at all. I mean, it's only like a finger's thickness, right? It's a tall, skinny, thin book, but it is packed with stuff that would take you quite a long time to unpack, especially if you did it yourself and would have to look up all the references. And it may seem overwhelming to some, but I invite you to discuss this book in a group. You could perhaps open a meeting by listening to the composition that starts that particular section, or, even just a piece of it. Listen to whatever that is to kind of calm and bring some recollection on the group, and then have a great, rich, full discussion. It's going to be so much world history, Bible history, scripture, architecture. There's so much. So everyone in the group is going to probably bring something completely new and exciting to the group. And what a great way to share. This is really something for everyone in this book. Friends, may God bless you and keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you. May gracious unto you. May the good Lord bless you. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.